For decades, the global balance of power was really built on a set of known assumptions. But in modern warfare, technology can just erase those assumptions overnight, completely redrawing the map of strategic reality. This is an inside look at one of those shifts, a moment that truly redefined battlefield operations for the 21st century. And this wasn't about a battle being lost. It was about something much bigger. A vast expanse of ocean that suddenly could no longer be controlled. A new line had been drawn on the map, not with ink, but with the cold, hard math of advanced missile technology. So what was at the heart of this revelation? It was a concept that would fundamentally change military planning in one of the world's most critical regions, the 500-mile red line. Now, this red line wasn't a formal declaration or some kind of physical barrier. It was a fact, a cold, hard fact of physics and engineering. It marked the distance from the Iranian coast where U.S. naval forces could no longer guarantee the safety of their own ships or the international shipping they were there to protect.
So how did we get here? Well, this new reality didn't just pop up overnight. It grew out of a steady, deliberate technological shift that for years had gone underappreciated. An imbalance had been created.
What had happened, you see, is that through a combination of their own development and foreign help, Iran had quietly built up a really formidable arsenal. Ballistic missiles like the Sagiel and Fatah 313 could hit targets all across the Gulf. But the game changer, the most critical piece, was a new generation of anti-ship cruise missiles, designed for one specific purpose: to challenge naval defenses.
And right here, this is where you can really see the heart of the strategic problem. The U.S. Navy's top-tier defense, the Aegis system, is incredibly good, but its engagement bubble is about 100 miles. The carrier's own jets face a similar range issue. The problem is, Iranian missiles can be launched from well outside these defensive bubbles, creating this huge area of vulnerability.
Think about it. Ever since World War II, the American aircraft carrier has been the centerpiece of U.S. military might. It's like a floating piece of sovereign territory that can project overwhelming force anywhere on the planet. Its mere presence was often enough to prevent a conflict.
The red line forces a really difficult question. See, to be effective, a carrier has to get close enough for its planes to strike targets. But to be safe, it now has to stay far away. That single dilemma right there, it challenges the very foundation of U.S. naval strategy.
You see, a strategic shift this big never just stays in one region. The implications of this 500-mile red line began to ripple across the entire globe, affecting economies and shaking up old alliances. And here's why this matters to literally everyone. That red line was drawn directly across the world's energy lifeline, the Strait of Hormuz. It's a narrow waterway where 40% of the entire world's seaborne oil has to pass through. And now it sits squarely inside this new high-threat zone. And the consequences? Well, they started to ripple out almost immediately. Commercial shippers saw their risks and their insurance costs just skyrocket. Regional allies, who for decades had relied on the American security umbrella, they started to quietly question how reliable it really was. For Iran, it was a massive strategic and symbolic win. And for rivals like China and Russia, well, they pointed to it as proof of a changing world order.
Now, when the Pentagon acknowledged this red line, it wasn't them admitting defeat. Not at all. It was actually the beginning of a profound, top-to-bottom strategic reassessment. The challenge now was to adapt to a battlefield where American dominance could no longer just be assumed.
So, what do? Well, several paths forward are being looked at. The first one is to just outrange the threat with new long-range weapons like hypersonics. The second is to engineer a huge technological leap in defensive systems, something that can push that red line way back. And the third option is to fundamentally change your tactics, moving away from these huge, concentrated carrier strike groups and toward a more distributed, more resilient, and asymmetric naval force.
And all of this adaptation, it leads to an even bigger, more fundamental question about the future of naval warfare itself. In an era of long-range, high-precise missiles, is the massive, high-value aircraft carrier becoming a relic of a past age? The thing to understand is that this 500-mile red line, it's more than just a regional military problem. It's really a data point, a sign of a much larger global trend, the end of one era and the dawn of another.
For the better part of a century, the United States military operated with a level of global dominance that's pretty much unprecedented in history. What this event signaled, what this red line showed, was that technology is a powerful equalizer. And that era of uncontested superiority, it's now shifting into an era of contested dominance.
So this new paradigm, this new era of competition, it's not going to be about matching the US tank for tank or ship for ship. That's old thinking. It's going to be about asymmetry. It's about developing specific, targeted technologies that are designed to exploit the vulnerabilities of a superpower.
And that leaves us with one final and frankly unsettling question. The 500-mile red line was a proof of concept. It showed that a regional power could effectively create a no-go zone for a global one. So it forces us to ask, in the South China Sea, the Black Sea, or maybe even the Arctic, where will technology allow the next red line to be drawn?